Hi, I'm Mark from Getaway Trekking. Today I'm going to talk about using poles and why it's so important to use your poles. I've been working with Getaway Trekking for over 10 years. I've done treks in Papua New Guinea, the Kokoda Track 25 times. And today I'm going to give you a lot of tips as to why we should use poles, how to use them correctly, and also how to make sure that you get the best use out of your poles so you can have a fantastic trek. There's many reasons why you need to use your poles. I'll talk about downhill first. They give you stability, okay? So as you're going down the hills, especially in Kokoda, you're going to find that some of the root systems and some of the rocks can be a bit slippery. These give you a bit of stability. There's been some studies showing that poles are really quite important because some of the literature that I've read is talking about up to 35–40% of the pressure is taken off your knees in terms of using your poles. So I like trekkers to use poles for a couple of reasons. One, to obviously help their body if they're getting a bit tired and a bit sore, to use some of the pressure on their arms. Secondly, it gives a lot of people a lot of confidence. You'll find that some people in New Guinea, when you're doing the Kokoda Track with us or another company, they might only use one pole or no poles. But it's really important to use poles because it gives you that sense of security, that stability when you're going downhill, especially when you're going downhill, because you want to be very careful you don't fall over. By using poles over time, what it does, it actually helps you with your speed and with your walking in just a consistent pace. You don't want to rely on them. You do not want to spend too much exhaustion where you're getting your arms and your chest too sore, no. But use them as stability, use them as a guide. Now I want to talk about some of the important things about when you're choosing your pole. Very important that you get obviously a very strong, sturdy pole. With the poles, firstly, make sure when you put your hand in that the strap here is nice and thick. The strap needs to be nice and thick. I've seen poles over the years but they've been too thin and they've actually hurt people, who actually almost made them a bit sore here. So you want a strap that's nice and wide. The grip. The cork grip here, this cork grip here is very good. It's got a grip here where I can actually put my fingers around, wrap my fingers around and get good grip on that. The rest of the pole here, you want to make sure that you've got very easy adjustable poles. With your poles, you want to be able to open them up and do this very quickly, very easily, because sometimes over there you are going to get a bit tired when you're walking. Make sure when you buy the pole or when you're researching for your pole and you go into the shop that you try it out. Don't just get it. Make sure you try it out to make sure that the grip's right here, the strap's correct, the pole's nice and sturdy. Make sure that they're strong and that they're lightweight, okay? Sometimes I've seen trekkers have poles that are actually quite heavy, which is, you don't want that. Michelle and I are just going to go up the hill now. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to talk to Michelle about how we actually get the poles at the right height. I would normally, just going up initially on the flat, I'd have the poles around my hip here. Yep. So then from here, you're just going to get it to line up with the top of your iliac crest here, or the hip bone right at the top there. Yep. Okay, and then once you're comfortable, that's about right. With the poles, which we typically have 3 different heights. One that would be going along the flat, and then one that we're going to be doing, we're making slightly shorter when we're going up a hill, and when we go down the hill, we extend them a little bit. So in New Guinea, when we got hills, a lot of the hills can go for a fair distance. Your guide will always tell you that sort of how far it's going to go. But when we're going to go up a hill, like a steep one up here, I want you to get your pole out and I want you to adjust it down about, say, 3 or 4 centimetres. With walking poles, there's no specific answer for everyone. Everyone's slightly different. But it is definitely an advantage to have the poles a little bit shorter as you're going up the hills. All right? Speak to your trek leader about it, but also you'll find the comfort level as you're going up the hill. So we're going to go up the hill now. The poles are a bit shorter. And let's rock and roll. Nice short steps. Use your poles. Sort of brace yourself as you're going up the hill like this. Good. Poles can become your best friend. So when we're going up the hills in New Guinea, we're going to take lots of little steps like you're doing. Perfect. You look like you've got good balance there, which is great. And now you're using poles very well. Well done. Obviously there's no mud here today. There's no rain. That's when the fun starts. But by you practicing now, it's going to help you and give you that confidence and that technique, the correct technique, that when you're in New Guinea, it's going to be a lot easier when you go up hills. But it's when we go down hills, that's when we really have to concentrate. Yeah. Especially if you're over there next year and you've got 6 inches of water going through your legs and mud and it's coming down, that's when you'll be going slowly. Yeah. But remember with Getaway Trekking, all of our trek masters, are very experienced. So when they take people up the hills, they'll be doing it nice and slowly. And a steep hill, they'll stop every 20 minutes or so. If it's not so steep, they'll stop a little bit later. But they'll stop according to the group. It's a marathon, it's not a sprint.
Yeah.
We are not trying to knock it off in 2 or 3 days. We're just going at a good, steady pace, making sure that people have got good technique to try and prevent any injuries, right? And to most importantly, so you enjoy it. So when we're going down the hills in New Guinea, it's really good to sort of, like I said, when it's quite steep, the personal porter will be in front of you. Watch what he does. And as he's coming down the hill, he's going to be looking where he's going. He's going to be putting his feet to the side. He's going to use that rock there. If that's wet, full of mud, you put your foot on that there, you're going to slip. Your foot's going to go out like terribly, and you could jag a hammy or a knee. So when you're coming down, I'm going to see that rock there, and I'm going to brace at the beginning. I'm going to brace myself. Yep. And then I see this one here, I'm going to brace. So, okay, so can I borrow your poles? Of course. So as I'm going down the hill, the worst thing you can do is not to concentrate. You have to concentrate, okay. Right? So we always say to people, concentrate. So when I've got my poles here, which I now need to extend because we're going downhill. So as we're going downhill, very, very important, a couple of things. One, you look where you're going. You must focus and concentrate. If I ever have trouble with groups, it's when they're going downhill. Kids are laughing, people are laughing, they're cracking jokes, because when they're going uphill, they go, they're hyperventilating. They can't actually, they can't talk, they can't breathe. But when they're coming down here, it's like, oh yeah, we're just going for a bit of a cruisy walk. No, you're not going for a cruisy walk, because that's where injuries can happen, all right? Okay, so when you're going downhill, concentrate. Use the path to help as you can. As I'm walking downhill, if it's very steep, I'm going to use my poles gently, but I'm also going to watch my porter. So number one, use your poles to brace yourself. Watch your porter. But the second thing is use the track to your advantage. I can see as I'm walking along, if I see a loose stone, I'm not going to put my foot on the stone. I can see a stone, I can see a tree root there. I'm going to use it as a brace. I am never going to stand on top of a tree root. I'm never going to stand on top of that like that, because like I said, if that slips, I'm going to do my hamstring in. Okay. So I'm planning my way down, and as I'm walking down, I'm looking, and if I need to go side by side, I will do that and I will stop. I've had many conversations with school kids over there where I've told them literally to shut up and focus on what they're doing going downhill. Yep. Because they'll laugh and they'll talk and they'll carry on, but that's when you can have accidents. Yep. And you have a bad accident and you rip the back of the hammer here, you're out. Your dream's gone. You will never see me put my foot like that. See that rock there? Yeah. I would never do that because I'm too scared my foot can slip, but I'll put my foot to the side, brace myself and go down. If I'm not sure, especially in New Guinea, I'll do a bit of a tester, all right? So I'll put a bit of weight there to make sure I'm okay, and then I go down, okay? Yeah. As I'm going down here, I'm taking lots of little steps. Yeah. When it's steep over there, you want to take lots of little steps, keep your balance, okay? Follow your porter. And then, like I said, use the rocks, use the natural crevices as your friend. It's all about taking lots of little steps. It's all about balance. Balance is the right thing, because if you're going all side everywhere and you've got a rucksack on, you are going to fall over. So it's all about getting that balance right. Remember, there's a few important things. Number one, it's all about balance. You want to keep your balance right. So when you've got your poles, use them as your guide. It's all about balance. Number two, short steps. When you're using your poles, make sure you're in synchronicity with your body. Lots of small steps when you're going up and down hill. Number three, make sure that when you're going up a hill, that your poles, you shorten them just a little bit. And when you go downhill, you lengthen them a little bit. And then when you're walking on the flat, that you have them around the waist high. Everyone's slightly different. Speak to your trek leader. The guides at Getaway Trekking, we've been doing this for many, many years, and we always customise and help people along the way. So I hope this training video has been of some help and support. If you've got any queries, get in contact with us at Getaway, and hope to see you in New Guinea soon. Have a good one. Yoo-hoo!